Good morning, boys and girls. We are on page 4, lesson 1 homework. Now, this page is right after lesson 16 in the previous module. So right here, I'm going to zoom out so you guys can see. I'm flipping through my book, right? And I'm going to make sure I flip past lesson 14, lesson 15, lesson 16. And notice that there is this page that says module 2, your math grade 5, module 2. Flipping past the problem set, and I am gonna be on the homework, which is right here, lesson 1 homework. Okay, and this is what it looks like, and it's on page, if you look on the bottom, page 4. So that's how you get there. Now I'm gonna zoom back in so you guys can see this more closely. So the first problem asks you to fill in the blanks using your knowledge of place value units and basic facts. So if you need to pull out your place value chart or to draw it out, then definitely do that, okay? So the first one asks me to think 43 ones. So I'm going to make sure I put 43 ones. But remember, I can't fit 2 numbers in my ones place, so I'm going to move my 4 to my tens place, and then I have 3 tens, which shows me this, 43 times 30, right? So let's first multiply 43 times 3. I know that 3 times 3 is equal to 9, and 3 times 4 is equal to 12. So I have 129 tens. 129 tens means that you have 1,290 as your final answer. Okay? Because when you multiply 43 times 3, you're going to get 129, but you need to also add that 0 at the end. So we're adding that 0 at the end. Now, problem number B, or problem B. We have 43 times 30. So same thing, we have 430. So I'm going to plug in 430, or 43 tens. So I'm plugging in 43 tens, and I also 43 tens, that's actually going to be over here. I'm plugging in 43 tens, and I'm plugging in 3 tens. So that means I have 430 times 30. And that's what they have right here for you. So I'm going to multiply this first. 43 times 3. And it's the same thing. So 3 times 3 is equal to 9. 3 times 4 is equal to 12. So I have 129 hundredths. So I'm going to make sure I write 129 hundredths, which is the same as having 12,900 as my answer. Okay, 129. Now over here I have 830 times 20. So I'm multiplying 830 times 20. So 83 tens times 2 tens is equal to 166 what? So that kind of helped you here. So if I were to plug in 83 tens and 2 tens, I would get 166 what? Okay, they're asking you 166 what? It's going to be hundreds. Because now look, your 8 is in the hundreds place, so I'm going to write down hundreds. Okay, so 83 times 2, they told me is 166, and then I'm adding my 2 zeros at the end. And I get 16,600. Okay, now problem D, they ask you to multiply 4,400. So how many hundreds is 4,400? That is going to be 44 hundredths. And you're multiplying times 4 hundredths, which is going to give you 176 ten thousandths. 10 thousandths. So 4,400 times 400 is going to equal to 176, and there is 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. So you get 1,760,000. Okay, now moving on to problem E. For problem E, we know that we have how many tens? It says 8 here. So I'm running 8 tens. How many thousands? We have 5 thousands. And that is going to give me 40 what? It's going to give me 40 thousandths. So 40 10 thousands. I'm going to write that down. 40 10 thousands. Okay. I know that 8 times 5 is equal to 40, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. So 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. And now I have 400,000 as my final answer. Now I'm going to move on to problem number 2. Determine if these equations are true or false. Defend your answer using your knowledge of place value and commutative, associative, and or distributive properties. So you guys learned a little bit about it last year in 4th grade, 3rd grade, and 2nd grade. So they're asking you if these are equivalent to each other. We have 35 hundredths. Is it equal to 5 tens and 7 tens? So we're going to figure that out. So I'm going to write that down. 35 hundredths is, let's see, I'm going to plug it in. 35 hundredths would be 3,500. So 3,500. They're asking me, is it the same as 5 tens? So 5 tens is 50 times 7 tens, which is 70. Okay, so I have 3,500. 5 times 7 is equal to 35, and I add my 2 zeros at the end, and I know that they are equivalent to each other. So I'm going to write true. Now for problem B, it says 770 times 6 equals 77 times 6 times 100. So I'm going to multiply 77 times 6 on the side. 77 times 6. 7 times 6 is 42. 6 times 7 is 42. Plus 4 is 46. So I get 462, and then I add a 0 at the end. Is that going to be equivalent to 77 times 6? We know that 77 times 6 is 462, and they want me to multiply that by 100. So let's see if they are equivalent. 462, add my 2 zeros at the end, and they are not equivalent, okay? So false. Now problem C, we have 50 tens, and remember, 50 tens means that you are putting 50 in the tens place. So that is 500. So we have 500 times 400 is equal to 40 tens. And 40 tens is the same as 400 times 500. Okay, now they look the same. The only difference is that they switch the numbers around. So 500 times 4 is equal to 20, and then I add my 4 zeros. Same thing over here. 4 times 5 is equal to 20, and then add my 4 zeros. So my final answer is going to be 200,000 is equal to 200,000. That is true. Now for problem D, we have 24 times 10 times 90. So an easy way to solve for this is if I were to multiply 10 times 90 together first. 9 times 1 is equal to 9. Add my 2 zeros, and then I have 24 times. And over here we have 90. Actually, looking at this, there's an easier way to solve it. I want to make sure I show you guys. So this one is 90. So we want to make sure that we multiply the number together to make 2,400, please. So 90, we're going to leave that one alone. We're going to multiply these two together. 24 times 1 is equal to 24. Add my 0 at the end, and then I'm bringing down 90. Okay? And on this side, we have 90 times 2,400. On this side, we have 2,400. On this side, we have 240. So that is going to be false. They are not equivalent to each other. So I'm going to make sure I turn the page. And we are now on page number 5. Make sure you are on the right page. And at the top, they give you an example, right? So they're multiplying the numbers together. And that's exactly what we are going to do. We have 80 times 5. 8 times 5 is equal to 40, and then I'm going to add a 0 at the end. So maybe I should write that out for you guys to see. So first I multiplied 8 times 5, which is equal to 40. And I know that 80 times 5 is going to equal to 400. You add an extra 0 at the end. Now, what if you were to have 80 times 50? So I know that 8 times 5 is equal to 40. And 8 times 50 is going to give me 400, because we know that 8 times 5 is 40.